Hello YouTube, this is Ready Set Exploit, and we're going to be doing Flip from TryHackMe, which is a room I created in which I cover a weakness in the AES CBC decryption and encryption. So we're tasked with logging in as an admin to a little program that I put together, but the program has a condition that we have to bypass. In order to bypass the login, we're going to perform an attack called bit flipping, which is essentially we change the ciphertext in such a way that it results in a predictable change of the plaintext. So to pull off the attack is actually very straightforward, but wrapping your head around the math, it's what can make this a bit confusing and seems like a tougher challenge than what it really is. As far as crypto challenges go, this is on the easier side of challenges. So I'll go ahead and cover as much of the manual and the encryption process as I can. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing is we have our source code, which is provided. And let's go ahead and review it. Let's see. So this is what's running on the back end. You're also provided with the IP address and port. So there's no need to run like an nmap scan unless you want to. But so we see socket and socket server and socket. So this is what's running the connection. On Hexafly, that's pretty much handling hex from ASCII characters, but we could see that it uses AES, padding, and random bytes, so there's some randomness to it. We see the flag is open as a file, strips it, no empty spaces. So encrypt, decrypt, so let's start at the bottom. Most Python functions will start at the bottom, so it starts the server, IP and port, and it, let's see, handles the request here. Start. Okay, so we have the function called start. So first thing is it gets a random key and an IV initialization vector. So because this is inside the start function, it will generate a new one each time, right? So every time we log in, we get a message, please log in as the admin. Then it sends a message, what's the username, receives the username, then once the passwords then you send the password to it, then it creates this message, access username plus then your username and password, right? We have control of two of these. And here we go. So we do have some credentials. If admin and password is in this particular person, the message, so it's not that easy. Otherwise, we go to setup, right? And then setup is here. So it takes our message and it sends a message with the leaked ciphertext with the encrypt data function. So it goes from here up to here. And this is where the encryption happens, returns a hex coded, a hex value, and then it asks to enter our ciphertext. Then it receives it, and now what it does is it tries to decrypt it, right? And then when it does an exception, it sends a particular message, right? E, and then if check, so this is to handle any errors. And then if any, so it just sends any errors and then it just closes, right? But if the check passes, you got it, here's the flag. Otherwise, it tells you to flip off. So if we look at the decryption, which happens right here, which is what we have to pass, it looks for, so it does this decryption, Hexafly, encrypted paragraph. So first thing to notice, it does AES CBC, right? So that's pretty clear. It looks for admin and password superpass 1 in the unpad, so it's padded with 16 PKCS7, okay? So and then it returns a 1, which means true, otherwise false. So in this case, it's just looking for this, right? But if you remember the condition, if this is on the message to begin with, it's not even going to get to the setup, right? It just right? It just stops right there. But if we send anything else, then it'll go through it, but then it won't make this pass. And we can check that really easily. So I'm gonna call this one source code. Make a new tab. I'm gonna call server connect. So let's see. I believe that's it. So we saw that. Welcome to the admin. So let's cat it so we can copy paste. So we copy that password. So if we saw before, if we do admin and the password, it tells us not that easy. If we do anything else and the password, it gives us our ciphertext, right? And then we have to enter a ciphertext, and it gives us the error outlet string. So let's see. Let's do something simple. Let's do beatmin. Whoops. Password. Let's enter the same ciphertext. See what happens. Flip off. Okay. So as we kind of read through the code, that's kind of expected. So if you were stuck here, you could have just gone on here and done something like AES CBC. There's a lot of exploits, but if you just kept exploit and look through it, right, there's a lot of decryption. This is one of the first ones. Attack in CVC mode, encryption, bit flipping. And if the name of the challenge is flip, you know, it's kind of trying to keep you on the right track, right? Not getting too lost, because if you would have Googled something like CVC PKCS7 exploit, you probably would have ended up here, right? In padding oracle attacks, which is a similar attack. It's like error based, but you would have gone on this whole another thing, and it probably could have worked, but you would have given yourself a lot more work as opposed to just sticking to this. So this is a good article, and basically really breaks down like this how the encryption works, right? And what it does is we have our initialization vector, right, which is randomly generated, and the key here, and we have our plaintext, and it's breaking up into bytes. In our case, it's actually 16 bytes, and I'll go over that in a second. Then what it does here, an XOR happens, right? This is an XOR. So an XOR happens between the plaintext and an initialization vector. They're both the same length. And if you're not sure where I got the 16 bytes, if you look at the code, it actually tells you right here, get random byte 16. So we're dealing with 16 bytes. Then it gets encrypted with the key, and we have our first ciphertext. That same ciphertext becomes the new utilization vector, gets XOR with the next set of 16 bytes plaintext, repeats the process all the way till the end. And there will be times when the result, the last remaining plaintext, won't be 16 bytes. That's okay. It gets padded so that it gets a nice even amount. And the decryption is the same way. I mean, yeah, so decryption is just the reverse. So we have the plaintext, it gets decrypted with the key, and then we XOR, and it's just get it right back, right? Bit flipping is an attack where essentially we can manipulate, because we know the ciphertext and the plaintext, it takes advantage of the XOR operation. So if we can change any part of the ciphertext, like right here, right, then it should theoretically change the corresponding plaintext at that particular value, right? And this goes into a real like scenario. Another reason why this would have been a good one is because this is a very similar example to the code I just gave you. Pretty close. Of course, I made changes. Another thing about this one that I didn't like is that the key and the IV are outside of any function, so they're static, which I didn't like because it gave you a set key and IV, and getting the exploit the first time would work, but then if you try again, it would not, and because the key and IV are the same. So I kept it regenerated, but it doesn't change anything, and it actually makes for more fun. So this goes into it, but I'm going to explain it the way I understand it, which I think it's a little bit easier. I am going to use these drawings. I think these are nice, right? Yeah, see, this is the reverse. But where we go? There. So I'm gonna do that. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this. So you notice that if my username is longer, this is longer. So we want to keep it into 16 bytes. And here's the fun part. So let's do this. Let's call this split. And do R that. So I equals 0. So while I'm going to split this up into 16. Now, when you're dealing with hex, every 2 characters is 1 byte. So this is technically 90. This is the result of our of each encryption being clunked together, and I'll show that in a second. So we're gonna print R. I think it's I. Yeah. We're gonna print it in a nice horizontal line. If I is equal to 31, right? Print. You don't have to do this. You could do it manually, but it's just I don't want to go back and forth trying to guess the length or count. Then we do print. What am I doing? There we go. I can just copy paste everything I need. There you go. Move to the right. And now I'm going to copy this. And oh, okay, that works. And then this is 63. So I'm going 32, but I'm, when you're dealing with Python, you start at 0, so I'm gonna subtract 1. And then we just add it, right? That's not it. There you go. So if we run this, oops. There we go, less than. Aha. So if you go somewhere to character count, we should have 32. 32, right? And like I said, if we look at this one, this is 96. 96 divided by 3 is 32. So we have these. This should also be 32. 32. So why that's important to me? Because I'm going to do XOR text. I probably should have. That's okay. So we know this is 16 bytes. From what? So we remember that it takes our plaintext. Where we go? Yeah, our plaintext. I was doing the wrong one. This one makes more sense. Plaintext, annexation vector, but as you can see, you could kind of follow them, and it works. So plaintext, annexation vector, 16 bytes. So they both have to be 16 bytes. So where does the 16 bytes come from? Well, X is username. If we count this, that's 16 bytes, right? So this is the result encryption of this after the annexation vector and decryption encryption. So where does the next one come from? All right, well, we know, let's see, we can count. We could also just take a guess. If we put the admin username, well, it's checking for this, right? So let's see, how long is this? That's 26. Let's keep going back. It was actually 20. I counted the comma. That was 25. Keep going. 16. So between admin and password equals S. It's another 16. And that's the second block. That's our target. And then the remaining is just this part. This is not 16, but it gets padded. And that's why it still becomes padded with just some junk, right? So we don't care for that, we care for this. If we can manipulate this, really just any part of this, we can bypass it, right? And again, that's only because of what happens here, right? I don't like this one. We're gonna intercept it here, right? This is access username. This is gonna be admin at password s. So we know what this is, but we know this is admin at password s. This is the encryption form, and we sort of know what this looks like, but we know what this looks like. And right here is ciphertext, which is this one right here, right? And this XOR with this will give us a result that is XORed, and then it gets encrypted. We don't know what the key is, so we can't really touch this. We can't manipulate this, but we can manipulate right here, right? Using these two values, the first one and the second one, not the second block. So we're gonna get, and how are we gonna do that? Well, I'll show it because it's really hard to wrap your head around. But we're gonna utilize the XOR operation. So let's see. And actually, I stand corrected. This is Beatman. So there we go. So let me actually maybe put it in a different way. So this equals access username XOR IV. Yeah, there we go. Equals XOR. We don't care for that third one. Copy this. And we go here. There. So there we go. So we're going to manipulate this bit anywhere we want. In this case, I'm going to choose the first one because that's the one I changed. So if I change this, right, and this, it will essentially change the way it decodes it because I'm changing ciphertext, right? So I'm changing this ciphertext. In this case, let's imagine here this first block, so that when it XORs, I'm going to change it here. When it XORs, it changes to admin when the decryption happens, right? So if it's really weird to wrap your head around, it's okay. We're going to take it manually step by step, right? So we have to stay connected. That's the only thing. So actually, I'm going to call this one logic. So let's break this down. So let's connect again. So let's do Bitman, and I need that password. There. There we go. So we need to, doesn't really matter if we split it, but I'm gonna focus on this. Why the first index? You know, I guess a good way to know it, it's just the way XOR works, but let's go to CyberChef. It's one of those things where it's just easier to visualize, at least to me. If you go to XOR, right, and let's do username. Actually, let's do this even better. What did I say it was? So there. So we're gonna do this, copy all this. My input, that's 16, right? This is my XOR. So let's do into hex so we can see it. And this is also 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, that's close. Let's see. So none, right? So if we change the first character for either one, you see everything stays the same. You know what? Maybe space is better. Everything stays the same. but that first character. And this is the way XOR works, and this is why that's important. If I change it anywhere, right, it changes. See? It has to be on that first index. If I change the second index here, only the second index changes, second value. And because this is the way the bitwise operation XOR works, right? So the point of that is that if I have done like a capital D here, like admin, but with capital D, then I'm focusing on this second one, right? So that's why I'm focusing on this first one, because I changed the first index, right? So what do we know? We know plaintext here is B. We know the ciphertext here is first index. What is it? It is CO. We don't know this value yet, but we can find out, right? We can find out what that is, and the reason why we can find out is XOR bitwise. The way XOR works, right? If you know two of the values, you know the other one. See, 0, 0 gives you 0, 0, 1 gives you 1, just like 1, 0 gives you 1. So these two right here, right? As long as you know two, you can know the other one. So let's do that. Let's do, so we know, let's say B, no B, and we know the key. We don't know the key of XOR, but as long as you know two, you know the other one. And we get, if you don't do anything, you get a bunch of junk. But you could do 2 hex, you could also do 2 decimal, doesn't matter, value's the same. We'll do 2 decimal because that's what I did on the write-up. So we're gonna do again, CyberChef. So now, let's go back to the drawing. Now we know what this value is, right, before the encryption. We know this value in between, right? You know, C0 is here, B is here. When XOR gives you that 161, or in this case, if you do hex, that, forgot what it was, but yeah, now we know this value here. What can we do with that? Well, because we know this value here at that present moment, what happens if we take that value that we know, change the plaintext to A, we will get, theoretically, we'll get this value when it is A, if that makes sense. So, take our value that we know here, right? You know what? Let's do it in hex. See if that works. 2 hex. That is not right. Let's put that away to hex. A2, right? Go to CyberChef. And we're going to apply the same XOR theory, because that's what we're doing. So our key is A2. It doesn't matter. It could be interchangeably, right? And I'll show you just so that you can wrap your head around it. And now we're trying to find this out, right? We're trying to find what this value would be if this is changed to A. In this case, we know it was B. We got A2. Now we're going to do A2, and we're going to put A. Because if this gets XOR with this, right, it should give us this. And we need to hex C3. And if you look at it, we have A2, C3, feel like they should be a lot closer. Well, we can try it. I probably messed something up. So let's see, A2, key is hex, right? So let's see, 2 hex is A2. Yeah, let's see, should work theoretically. I feel like they should be closer. We'll find out. Oh wait, C2, yeah, no, sorry, I messed up. C3, if you look at it, C3 and C0 are not far apart. They're only 1 little digit apart. So that's another way you were on the right track. So we do C3, the remaining, so we're replacing. See? First one was C0, that was our B, now it's C3, pretty close. And imagine you just took a guess and did it. But there we go, we got the flag, right? Very nice, right? And if we can repeat the same steps with a different one. Let's do admin, capital M, whoops, superpass. Now we need to change one. This was the third index. Apply the same thing. 1, 2, 3 right here. AB. And we're gonna apply the same. We don't need this. The same process. So we do. I'm gonna change it up, just so you see. So you see here. Now I'm gonna do AB, because this is the way XOR works. It doesn't matter. Do M. This is UTF-8 now. I'm gonna do. From hex, we need to, because it is a hex value, to hex. So we have A6, right? So now again, we know we don't need this. We knew the M was here somewhere. It's third one right here, and we know this is, what was it? This was AB. We know that this was AB. It's third one. The XOR. And now we found out this value, which is E6. We go back. Same thing. I'm gonna use E6 here. I want it to be lowercase m. I'm gonna do from hex, because it is a hex value here, 8b. And the original one was AB. So that should be it. Yeah, C15F. Did I get that right? Yeah. So now it's AB B2. Let's see if I didn't mess this up. Let me make sure I copied it right. Yeah, there we go. There we go. See? And it just works nicely. So that is pretty much how it's done manually. And again, it just takes one of those things where you just kind of have to do it and visualize what you're doing, so that you kind of understand what we did, right? So we just basically, we didn't even take advantage of the key. We just took advantage of how it does the encryption and decryption, and one of the way it does is via XOR, and we just took advantage of how XOR works to just manipulate that little bit of text we knew it needed, right? If we didn't know that, maybe that's where pattern Oracle attack works, comes in handy, because you could just error base it until you get what you need. But now another fun part of this room is that you can do it. I highly encourage you to take advantage of Pwntools. So first I'm going to do is I'm going to save this instance. Let's see. And I'm going to see Pwntools install. There we go. That probably works. I like this. It's easier. Pip install Pwntools. Let's try this. You know what? Yeah, let's do that. Just because it's my trust. So we're gonna do bash, no, install, and we need, I don't know if I have those dependencies installed, but bash install, give that a second. In the meantime, might as well start writing the script. So we're gonna do, make sure I have enough time on the machine. Still do. Okay, we're gonna do flag, py. So I'm gonna need a from pwn import everything. I also need a Binaski import, and this is actually just mainly so I could handle hexafly and hexafly. Hexlify, okay, should work. Import RE, import sys. Oh, whoops. There we go. That's what I need. So we're gonna call it if name equals main. That's not right. We're gonna do host port sys. This is gonna be my argument. Just gonna put the IP address 7 server host port. Put serve. That's not right. Server host port. So I'm gonna do r equals remote host port. I'm gonna do r receive this one. So username. So we're gonna send it until we receive the username. Send line, and we're gonna send Bitman. So this is our username. I'm gonna do r receive until b see. All right, yeah, sure. Superpass. Superpass, and then received. I need to receive it. Just receive whatever it throws at me. And now I'm gonna do some RE magic. So RE find all leaked ciphertext, and we're gonna grab everything up until the line break, right? Received. So that's the text I need. I'm gonna hex string it. So I'm gonna just get received the first value of the hex string received. New hex. Now I'm gonna send it to my decrypt function. Alright, so let's see. Decrypt. Everything's installed. Yeah, alright, we're good. Hex string. So I'm gonna do print original string. Plus hex string. I'm gonna do unhexing. Unhexlify. We're gonna do the first two. So this is, I'm getting those first 2 bytes. Well, the first byte, which is first 2 characters. Now we're gonna do a little bit of XOR magic. So XOR 1. Alright. So we're gonna do unhexing. B. Just write that. So what we're doing is we're getting the first character, first 2, and we're going to do the first XOR, right? Then we're gonna do, and then we're gonna do the second XOR, which, let's see, and this is what we want, and we're XORing our other value. No, wait, let's see, XOR 1. And now we have our new hex. Actually, what am I doing? Change bit. We changed it. Equals our hex. this is now what we did. So new hex equals changed bit. Those first two plus hex string. There we go. And we do print flipped. This is totally not going to work. Bit plus new hex. Return new hex. So back here, right? We return our value R receive until is enter ciphertext and R send line new hex encode UTF-8 so that we send it properly, and we do print. Now we're gonna print whatever it sends us. Receive decode UTF. This is so that we can send it without the little B thing. It's really what it is. So that it sends like an actual string. What do we did? Okay, yeah, so this is, and let's watch it fail. Yeah, that's what I thought. Where'd it go? What did I say I was missing? On line 28, decode. Right here. What am I missing? Right here. It doesn't want to work. Why not? Am I still connected? Yeah, alright. Could just be something with my Pwntools. So let's see. Host. Yeah, okay. That works. That works. Print receive. So yeah, this should work. Wonder if my Pwntools just glunking out. Let's see. On port 77 done. I have been having issues with Pwntools, so maybe could be that. Because yeah, see, I'm not even receiving the line Bidman. Yeah, interesting. I know I did it before. Yeah. Interesting. I wonder why that is. I don't think this makes a difference. Yeah. So server host port. Let's see. Then Bidman. Receive until, and then we send a line, and then I don't know. I don't even think we make it this far. Yeah. See, my machine's still up. Let's see. So maybe just Pwntools doesn't want to work, but I could still script the XOR part. That's not going to be an issue. I don't want to spend the whole video figuring out why my Pwntools just doesn't want to work. Because it installed fine. I remember using Pwntools recently, and it also just gave me a bit of a hard time. You know, Kali updates, Pwntools just doesn't like doing this thing. See, can I do, what if I just print R? Yeah, alright. That's good. If I do X, print yeah, okay. So it does receive it. That is very interesting. So maybe I'll do this. Let's see what happens here. See if I fix that. You know what? Maybe I made a typo somewhere. Bidman. Oh, okay. I see what I did. That's so dumb. Alright. That's why you should check. Alright, so let's go back here. This is fine. What I did is forgot to include this thing. Let's do that. So, see, because that's incorrect. So we do send line, you know, I messed up somewhere. Receive until B. There you go. This should work, I think. Let's see. That's not right. Let's do that. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Doesn't like that. Wow, patterns received. Okay. So let's see what we did here. Did I not? Let's see. Print. So we made it this far. Received. There you go. Okay, I think I know what I did. Let's apply that same logic. Decode. Think is this TF-8. There we go. Okay. So you see, that's what the UTF-8 does. You see this B here? It just removes it. So what I did there is I grabbed everything there. And there we go. So leak ciphertext. And we can actually, there we go. Perfect. So just like before, this was our original string. And we can confirm I did that right here. We grabbed the first bit, flipped it, and we sent it back, got our flag. So that pretty much does it. That was fun, and thanks for watching me debug that. So that pretty much does the challenge. I hope you like this and you like the room. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.